Grayson, I know you guys are pretty close. How much did you guys talk about this moment, getting to pitch in a postseason game together when you guys were coming up together?
We talked about it a lot. Obviously, since the alt site in 2020 was kind of our first year together. So me, him, and Gunner and Adley, we all four talked about it a lot, just being here together. So it's super exciting.
Keep it up front.
Dion, how have you seen Grayson progress over this season?
Obviously, tremendously, but it's nothing that I think myself or any of us didn't expect. We knew as soon as he found his rhythm that he was going to be fine, and I think he's just back to himself now. So and it's showing.
Okay, up front.
Hey, DL, do you think of yourself as a reliever now?
I mean, that's the position I'm in right now, so that's what I'm worrying about right now. So I guess.
Okay, sorry, I'm not.
I know the butterflies were extra when you made your big league debut. Compare that to yesterday, making your playoff debut coming into the game, especially at home with that crowd.
I think it's a little bit different. Debut, you kind of don't really know what to expect because, you've never done it before. So I think having that experience of my debut definitely kind of helped me for yesterday to kind of turn it more into excitement instead of, maybe nervousness or things like that. I was more so excited to get the chance to pitch.
Okay, second row on this side.
DL, as well as you're throwing these last few weeks, how does that compare to when you were coming up as a highly ranked prospect? I mean, how has your pitching changed or evolved over the last few years?
I think, for a lot of young guys and guys who come up as pitchers, I think that it's kind of like putting a puzzle together. There's trying to put all the pieces together, and over the years I've kind of, just tried to find all those missing parts, whether it be how to keep myself healthy and on the field, or whether it be mechanical things or things like that. So I think it's just you try and put it all together as best you can and continue to just make it better.
Okay, we'll keep it in the front.
Just how different was it being in the bullpen for a playoff game, knowing that you might have to get up earlier than you would in the regular season?
I think we just kind of treat it the same. I don't think we, kind of think of it in any different way or any different situation. Just whenever the phone rings and they say my name, I get going.
Okay, right here in the middle.
DL, how has this been this year for you and Grayson and Jordan and other young guys coming up to the ball club with Anthony Santander, Cedric, Austin Hayes, other guys have been here for a while?
It's awesome. We, spent some years together in spring training with those guys, so it wasn't like, completely new faces. So I think that that's something that we also have on our side is, we've kind of been around those guys, whether it be in spring training or alt site for some of them. Like, we've kind of all been around each other. So, like, we look up to them. They've been up here doing it longer than us. So, we definitely can learn from them, but it's also a familiar face.
Okay, in the middle, in the back.
DL, how do you describe this year? I mean, obviously roller coaster is one word, but I mean for you personally, all the things you've been through and to be sitting here in front of us today, what has that been like?
It's a blessing, honestly. This year has been a wild ride for me personally. Hoping to break camp with the team, but not being physically ready, and then kind of scrambling to try and get myself back healthy and things like that in AAA, and then having to go to Florida and take another step back and just, really focus on getting my physical side to where it needed to be before I was ready to pitch again. So I feel like it was just kind of, kept knocking me a step and, further and further back. But I just tried to keep pushing through it, stayed strong in my faith, and just kept working, and I knew that, the plan would come together.
Okay, we'll keep it over there. Gabe?
DL, like you said, you guys are a pretty tight bunch. Was that more motivating, I guess, to get back when you were making your various stops this year, seeing what was going on up here and wanting to get back with your friends? Yeah, I think that made it, obviously harder in the beginning when I wasn't here, seeing how exciting it was and how good these guys were playing, and
You know, just to see us winning like that, you know, it made it harder for me at first, but now that, you know, I was on the way back, it made it, you know, a little bit easier to keep working hard so that I could get up here and be a part of it.
Okay, DL over here.
DL, in your last 9 innings, you've given up no earned runs, 1 walk, 3 hits, while striking out 10, with a 68% ground ball percentage when the balls are put in play. How have you been able to do that over the past 3 weeks? Thank you.
For me, I think it's just, I think it was just kind of a similar situation to Grayson and other young guys, just kind of like figuring out what works for you. And for me, obviously, with all the obstacles this year, it was just trying to figure out, you know, the quickest way back to being myself. So I think just, I think that's a big part of it, was just finding myself again on the mound, and just really competing.
Okay, we'll take a few more. Andy?
DL, when you're in Florida, take me back into, like, was this possibility being on a playoff roster for this young team kind of what drove you to go to Florida and work really hard to get back to this point, back to yourself?
Yeah, I actually, I talked to our minor league director, Matt Blood. I told him, I was like, I think that it was the best decision for me to go down there and get ready, because I felt like I could either continue to kind of spin my wheels and try and rehab and play at the same time, or I could come and you know, go to Florida and get ready and where I needed to be and come be a part of, you know, the playoffs for this team. And that was something that I told him from the very beginning. I was like, I want to be a part of it. I want to help this team win in the playoffs. So I think that was in the back of my head every day for sure.
Okay, we'll take one last one. Middle, third row.
Hey DL, when you have a roster that is so close and so young, hasn't been on this big of a stage before, and especially playing and competing the way you guys have, are you allowing yourself to think of the magnitude of the situation, or focusing one game at a time, because that's easier to not think as big picture?
Yeah, I think that's one thing that has made this team so good this year, especially since I've been up here. Just like, always think back to like the Rays series, like losing the first 2 and then, you know, coming out and winning the last 2 is like in big situations. So I think that what they've done well is just taking it one pitch at a time, one game at a time, and just reminding ourselves every day that we're playing the same game that we were playing 3 weeks ago. It's just later in the year.